Thank you for joining this panel discussion on zero-G standardization. Uh, please also welcome my panelists for this discussion. We have the co-founders of Sigfox, Ludovic and Christoph, joined with the VP of Marketing from GCT Semi, Alex Sump. Welcome them.
Come on, give me a big round of applause, everyone. Come on. I taught you better this morning. A bit more energy. I know the food was heavy, but you need to be a little bit with more energy. Guys, yes, please, Alex, please come join us. Yes, you are over there. Yes, exactly. You know, we chose the places according to their best angle for the camera. So obviously they all seated. Okay, guys, you can sit. I'll leave you the room for the next 30 minutes. Enjoy it, guys. Thank you so much.
So this is like the first session after lunch. I hope you guys have some space left for some food for thought as well. So to bring a little bit more context to this panel discussion, the discussion is around zero-G standardization. And I'm sure everyone's wondering, what is zero-G? Just to give you a little bit more context, zero-G, this panel discussion, we're trying to put forth a concept, an idea, which hopefully after this will get carried forward to the standardization bodies. To begin with, zero-G itself will be the lowest common denominator of wireless connectivity that, among many other things, could potentially act as a safety net for other wireless connectivity technologies that would connect billions of devices in the world. So to begin with, the discussion itself will, just to summarize, will cover three things. What is the need for such a standard today? What are the potential applications such a standard could address in the future? And what its implications could be for the IoT connectivity landscape and even, like, say, the existing ecosystem. So to start off, Christoph, you've been, like, say, a guru of RF connectivity, spending most of your life working in this space. So if you could just tell me, what are the underlying sort of challenges that you see with wireless connectivity solutions today, and what do you see, like, say, going forward?
Well, there is something, by the way, that I've seen an article a few months ago, maybe 1 year ago, I don't remember the writer, but he was saying death of wireless. And in fact, it was a provocative title to say, hey guys, you always consume more bandwidth, but you need to remember that from 0 to 2 gigahertz, there is only 2 gigahertz. And in practice, there is only 1 gigahertz, to be honest. So it's 1 gigabit per second, roughly, and that's it. And from 0 to 20 gigahertz, it's just only 20 gigabit per second. So, and nobody cares about it. But in practice, you now need to care about it, because one day this is going to saturate. Indeed, you can make smaller cells and so on. You can complexify the schemes, but in the end, there is always this boundary. So this was, once again, a provocative title, just to say, you might now think about potentially ecology of the wireless. If you need bandwidth, okay, you need bandwidth, but you pay for it. If you just need to have a temperature, well, an example. You want the weather forecast for today. You go on your phone, you go on a page, you have few bytes for temperature, few bytes for the weather. And you have I'm exaggerating a little bit, few megabytes for publicity, for nice information and so on. But in fact, fundamentally, you need the few bytes, okay? So as a matter of introduction, I think that in the regulation offices, in the technical bodies and so on, there is this topic which needs to be addressed of ecology of the spectrum. When to use it, for what purpose, for what matter. and being concerned by the fact that it's a resource, like water, like oil, whatever.
So, while this makes sense, are you saying that the existing standards and the standard bodies are not addressing this issue? And if so, how should zero-G as a standard, according to you, what should be the approach to address this particular challenge?
The bodies who are 3GPP and so on are indeed working towards optimizing, well, making more money with their industry, their respective industry, which is basically telephony, information business, entertainment, whatever. But as a matter of fact, they are driven by, and it's natural, they are driven by their industry and their payback, okay? And as an example also, you have now 5G. Well, it started many years ago, but it's in full steam now. Everybody forgot that within 5G, there is a need for aggregating different systems. So to say, not only bandwidth, but also very simplistic or much more simplistic systems so that you have an easy access to all the layers. Nobody is working on that today. Everybody is working on high bandwidth because it's easy to see the return on investment quickly, but there is a lack of effort in putting some common sense within all this industry.
Okay, so Ludovic, then going forward, like what is Sigfox's contribution to the zero-G standardization, and why even initiate this from a Sigfox perspective?
No, first of all, I think zero-G is, when we created Sigfox in 2011, we were focusing on IoT, connecting all the dust I just explained this morning. And, but we have been in touch with some telecom players for some reason, for anti-jamming reason, for backup of DSL boxes. We are more and more contacted by people willing to have a backup for their broadband network, whatever it is, wired or unwired, wireless. So I was starting to think that maybe there is something to do. But this thing is so big that it can't be managed by Sigfox only. It has to be a standard. Because we are living in a world where if you lose the connectivity, whatever it is, it could be a mess. It could be a problem for the population, for environment, for the business, for the financials. So we need to be 100% connected more and more. It's good or not, it's not the question there, but we need to find something that will be a backup first. Unfortunately, some people faced the earthquake in Mexico. At that time, sometimes the main network fall down, and if you had at that time a zero-G network that can still run and send some small information just to help people to be discovered under the ground, this kind of thing. So this is, for many reasons, I believe that we need zero-G for backup of broadband. We need zero-G maybe to prevent one day the big threat, which is the denial of service attack on the web. We need maybe zero-G to optimize energy consumption of network. We need zero-G maybe to simplify customer experience on daily life of industrial. So this is for me a definition of zero-G, but zero-G is not Sigfox. I just tried to introduce zero-G because if Sigfox work alone that way, at the end of the day, we will not solve that problem. We need to create a standard where everybody, like GCT will talk about that, you are compliant with zero-G. It means that if the device is on the field, it could be used, the zero-G connectivity to send an alarm, to simplify the peering session of a wireless device. For all these reasons, I think that zero-G can't be managed by Sigfox, but have to be managed as a standard. So today, we are just here to introduce the concept, and not to say that Sigfox want to lead it, not at all. But of course, we would like to be part of that zero-G. But I think zero-G, today, we know that people need it, because we have been involved in at least 3 businesses as a backup. Yeah, you may know that we have a few million alarm panel connected with Securitas Direct. And the main reason for that is anti-jamming. If you have a burglar entering in your house with a jammer, you will never get the signal for the alarm. So it's a backup of 3G. So we were not replacing the 3G, but in case of jamming, we can be the backup to send what's going on at home. So no more the video, unfortunately, but everything else, we can deliver this information. So this is a backup, and there are many, many other ways to be considered as a backup. So this is why I think that zero-G is something important, but it's so important and so strategic for telecommunication that it has to be led by someone which is maybe, I know it will be 3GPP, GSMA, IEEE, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. But it's an open discussion. But I think if we introduce zero-G, for everybody, it should be a good opportunity. It should be an open door for new applications. So this is what I think the topic is important, and why we, at Sigfox, we would like to launch a discussion about zero-G, but not consider that zero-G is Sigfox.
Okay. Ludovic makes some great points, Christoph, but if you have worked with standardization bodies, you know how time-consuming it could be, like, say, to go from even conceptualizing a particular, or identifying an idea, conceptualizing a particular solution, and working towards an actual standard. How do you see this actually materialize, and how do you think you could accelerate this? Will it be more market-driven? And Ludovic made some great points in terms of where you're already seeing market sort of demand for such a solution, and where Sigfox is perhaps currently addressing those things. But how do you think this could go forward?
You are perfectly right saying that it can be long, particularly if you have fights, indeed. Maybe we can avoid fights in such a topic. It's a possibility. I'm not sure, but it's a possibility. Because, as a matter of fact, we see, as Sigfox, we see real needs for that. And people who have difficulty to understand that they need something. I have another example that is very frightening. In the past, as a young engineer, I've been working on PMR, private mobile radio, the walkie-talkie. You know, the private walkie-talkie, the private radio telephones. This was used for safety. Police, firemen, ambulance, etc. And there was a principle to say that they have to be independent, because if the public network is collapsing, they have their private network. Today, they are forced and pushed to go to public network because it's less expensive, there is more product. But they still complain about this fact, saying, if we have a catastrophe, we're going to have trouble because the public network is going to collapse. So those people have those kind of needs. Ludovic has been referring to needs from telecom players that see that sometimes their network is failing, so they want something which is more resilient. So the needs exist, and they might become, how to say, important needs, easy to perceive as very important. So that's maybe a way to accelerate. A way to accelerate is also to say, this is no longer traditional business. This is more safety business, common sense on safety, with the ecologic approach, where it might not be so expensive, but we have to have, as Ludovic said, we have to trigger a group, a working group, so that we can go to something which is satisfactory enough, for addressing those kind of problems. So it's maybe a way to accelerate. Definitely, with the traditional approach, it might be very long.
So, Alex, coming to you and your experience from GCT Semi integrating Sigfox into your LTE modules, could you just elaborate a little bit on your experience doing that? Mostly trying to understand how easy or complex it is to add a new, even lightweight communication protocol onto an existing communication network. If you could just elaborate on your experience, please.
Sure. GCT is a semiconductor company, and we came from the LTE cellular aspect. And we were doing on this IoT chip, supporting Cat-M and NB-IoT, and we embedded also Bluetooth, GPS, supports VoLTE, and so we get it all ready and ready to go to the market. Then we start talking to some individuals in the Sigfox organization and say, why don't we just try combine these together? And we ported the Sigfox stack into our chip seamlessly, surprisingly very easy. And we fine-tune the RF to all the frequency that you have. In a few months' time, we are fully qualified. And we are surprised to see that by adding Sigfox, it does not add any additional cost to the full solution. So we, at one point, we called this the hybrid solution. The hybrid solution consists of Sigfox, Cat-M, and B. So it's a triple mode. And so Sigfox comes for free at no cost. So coming with the zero-G idea, we could be a one candidate for this particular selection.
Okay.
So very excited about this.
So Ludovic, now we've been talking about this hybrid solution, and GCT Semi has already proven that they could easily do this with Sigfox. Doesn't that solve a lot of these problems already? Why zero-G again?
Why, sorry?
Why zero-G when wouldn't GCT solution be able to solve this problem?
Why? I think GCT, for me, we met and I think what they have done, it's important just to maybe to highlight what should be possible to do as soon as you have two, I would say, two global network in the same device, which is interesting because everybody maybe has a credit card, and when you receive a credit card, in one hand you have the card itself, on the other hand you receive the code. I think what we try to do is the same. You have the IP protocol, as you said, LTE and NB-IoT, and you have the code, which is something which is not IP protocol. And with Sigfox inside the GCT, we can use the two accesses to maybe to reinforce the security on IP protocol. You can switch off the broadband stack and to restart it with Sigfox because you save energy, you get more autonomy on your device. And this is, for me, also for anti-jamming reasons. So you have at least three main reasons that GCT embedding Sigfox, and as has been said, no impact on the bill of material. I think, as you said, it's 2 to 3 months of work to be Sigfox compatible. So this is, for me, a great achievement they have done. And it just opened up the door of the zero-G. Because it's an illustration of as soon as you embed a new protocol, which is fully independent, the Sigfox network relies on a different infrastructure. So it does not mean that we are more robust than others, but we are standing on other sites. We are using satellite backhauling, this kind of thing. So one day, thanks to this dual mode, we can save life, one life at least. It's a good reason to have this kind of solution. So this is, for me, thanks to this first development we did together, and I think GCT is here today just to say we open up the door, but we are maybe more, and you will tell me if you agree with that, but we are more ready to open up the approach to zero-G, because Sigfox plus LTE-M or Sigfox with NB-IoT is fine, it works. It costs nothing, so it's just a good illustration. But we need to go further. And going further means to work on the zero-G standardization. So this is, for me, how I'll explain. I think what they have done at GCT is impressive, because they did it quite fast. And now that their modules are certified, NB-IoT, LTE-M, and Sigfox. So the door is open, but I think we should do something bigger, more ambitious, and for the zero-G, because zero-G is there to stay. Because zero-G is something which is as simple as possible, very low throughput, because unfortunately, it's difficult to have something global at low cost if there is a lot of bandwidth, because you will enter in the complexity. So zero-G will stay at zero-G. There is no reason to have a minus dB, minus a bit per second, sorry. And, but we know that telecom will face new demand, new incoming demand, and they will have to invent 5G, 6G, 7G. I don't know what will be the end of the story. So they will face with new challenges, but zero-G is there to stay for the rest of the universe, I would say. So this is why I think zero-G is something that has to be considered carefully and specified carefully, but because we knew that GPRS has been sometime stopped because we need more bandwidth, more frequency to free some frequencies. Zero-G have to be very optimized in terms of bandwidth, so maybe requiring few kilohertz as this backup band, and let all the band available for new protocols.
Alex, do you concur? Obviously, Ludovic gave us a couple of different use cases and applications. From your vantage point, from a module maker's perspective, do you see similar end market sort of demand for something like this, where you're using a combo connectivity solution, where you need this backup for a zero-G perhaps? Do you see anything coming from the end markets?
From the cellular perspective, of course, there's a track of LTE, Cat-M, MB. But there is a other side of the coin here is on Sigfox side. Some of the folks, they are also want to have a access to the cellular. So by combining this, we have formed a perfect solution. So I'm not saying that our Cat-M MB is the only possible solution for zero-G, but that certainly is one option. And we can see now open a lot of applications, especially with Sigfox has a special anti-jamming capabilities. We find that this combo is so strong and open up a lot of industry that requires security aspect, and which a lot of guys have not even think about. So I'm very excited that we can explore in that particular area.
Okay. So Christoph, the question to you, with regards to networks, still early stages, but then in the future, if zero-G does happen, what happens to the existing Sigfox networks? Would you support Sigfox and zero-G? Would Sigfox migrate to zero-G? What's...
The Sigfox network is a potential branch or a potential tool for zero-G. It's more complex than a network, maybe, which means that you need a network, you need platforms, you need a certain number of blocks, so that you have the consequence, you have the goal which is reached. So indeed, Sigfox might provide its knowledge and so on, but as Ludovic said, generally speaking, beyond the network aspect, it's much more not complex, but because it's not so complex, but it has to be much more open than few industries, because you have an integration complexity, which is not so much technical, but maybe more business, integration chain and so on, that you have to put in place so that you have a reliable solution for everybody. So yes, we are candidate, if I can say so, we are candidate to propose our solution because we think we have an experience in the domain of, once again, what I call ecology of the wireless, but it's not only a question of network.
Okay. So, Ludovic, in terms of when, if zero G does happen, do you see that impact cannibalizing maybe the Sigfox ecosystem by any chance? How do you protect that from that happening? And for those who you think might be looking at this more as Sigfox trying to promote Sigfox itself as the next zero G solution, and then you're just trying to branch out from maybe your existing markets, and this is what you're trying to do, what would you say to them as well?
At Sigfox, as I said, we are first focusing on what is called LPWA, low power wide area. I strongly believe that is a wrong definition. It doesn't mean anything for me. I would suggest to stop talking about LPWA, but talking about zero G. Because from the beginning of that panel, we talk about the backup of broadband network or DSL, cable, fiber. That could also make sense. Well, I think at the end of the day, if network is there as a backup, it could be also there to connect billions of devices. So zero G, for me, should be more adapted to IoT, first. Secondary, I think at Sigfox, some people believe that we are a closed network. It's not the truth. We are open with every hardware. We are trying to do this initiative to share the specification. Because if we agree that we need a zero G network for low-end devices, for the backup, for the security improvement, for all all that needs, I would say, I just mentioned before, we need to specify it. It will not be a specified route by Sigfox, but something done through workshop, through standard bodies, and we will define this standard. As soon as it has been defined and approved by a standard body, Sigfox, I think, will try to comply with the standard. So we should be the first implementation of zero G. But it doesn't prevent other people, other technology to candidate. And maybe today you have GSM, you have CDMA, you have different technology in our mobile working together. So it should be possible that we have here or wherever in the world one zero G implementation based on Sigfox infrastructure, but maybe in this room we should have another zero G network available. And for this guy, as soon as they are zero G compliant, they do not mind if they use Sigfox or other network that implemented zero G. So this is why I try here to explain that we are here just to tackle this IoT opportunities, this telecommunication opportunity. We are not here, to rule the world. We need here just to open up the mind of people. For the one who were yesterday night at the party, we are here to get the energy to share all this opportunity. I think it's so big, and I think if we don't work like this, if we don't try to go through standard, trying to open the door and help people to benefit from that opportunity, I think it should be a loss for everybody. So zero G is not something for Sigfox. For sure, we will candidate because we believe that we have a pretty good solution to tackle it, but not Sigfox only.
And we expect to make money, indeed.
Yeah, sure.
At this point, I'd like to thank my panelists for this engaging discussion. Hopefully, like say, just the starting point for zero G, and hopefully this carries forward in the coming years. Thank you again, everyone.
Yes, just as the last word, I think ABI, thanks to be there. And I think we need people like you, analysts, partners, just to push that further. Because today at Sigfox Connect, we are just here to explain the reason why we need a zero G. But I think I would like that ID be spread over the world, that been tackled by someone else. I would like to lead it because you know that we have a lot of things to do at Sigfox. So if we can use your energy, your ID to push that zero G and help people to benefit from it, please do it, because it's not something I would like to keep on our side, but just to give you this ID and promote it yourself with every people you want. So this is a ABI. If you can help us to do that, it should be
absolutely, Ludo. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, the audience as well, like, for
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.